Hello, my name is Gianluca and I'm making this video for the only purpose of showing you my observations and my study of some of the NASA photographies of Mars taken by curiosity, and especially the latest ones taken by curiosity on the 2 February 2014. What I want to point out is that I am very skeptical in general when I saw all images and all details enhanced by other people trying to show uh, some shapes which reminds animals or statues or other objects, and I don't have found yet an image which really says me, hey, this is a statue, this is an artificial artifact, because when I look at these the images that I found, and these ones for example, I don't see anything else than rocks, and these rocks are all consistent with the rocks that you can find everywhere on Mars, because the archive of NASA is public and you can see all the images. There are thousands of images, and hundreds of images of Mars, as well as in the archives here. I will give you the links, and if you look at these photos you will see that the rocks in Mars assume really odd and strange shapes, which combined with our imagination can really release a ton of possibilities. The eye, the nose, this looks like it's not anything like a statue, but this looks like a rock, especially if you look at an image which has like 100 pixels. You will not see enough details, because if you enhance this corner here you can create a lot with your imagination. I know it because as a digital expert and I work with images every day in Photoshop. I know that if you just move a couple of pixels into an image which has a few pixels already, you will mess up the image and you will create details which are not there. So what I want to say is that I will observe these images today and now with with the most objective perspective that I can give. For example, when I looked at this image and I opened it, I started to see heads everywhere, but these heads are not really there. I mean, these heads are just natural stones and are consistent each other and are totally a natural phenomenon. They look like heads because it's my imagination as a human being to create and to complete these images, this image and the information which are not there. I will complete it with my own imagination. So the reason also why I'm doing this video is to share my opinions, because I don't understand at this point if it's my imagination or these things are really there. For example, when I opened this image, which is not very new but it's an old one, I found and after looking at all the images in the NASA archives, I found very strange rock formations in this point here, because the rocks have 90 degrees angles, and this is very inconsistent with the rocks in the surrounding, which are more rounded and have holes and different shapes, while this one appears to be part of an old wall which have collapsed obviously in the thousands of hundreds of years, if there was a civilization there. This could be a natural rock formation, but again, it is very unlikely, I think, because the angles and the shapes are 90 degrees in many of these rocks that made this wall. And this rock formation goes on, and I think this was part of a building or structure. I think that this quality is hard to decide what are these rocks. And let's move on to another photography. I will show you before this one. So when I opened this image, the first thing that I observed is that these plateaus are like hills, okay, and on top of these hills you have rocks. You have rocks which can be explained totally by natural reasons. The thing I found quite bizarre is that these rocks looks like falling down from the hill, like they were part of a structure before, or of a bigger rock, and then collapsed and destroyed with the time. And this is consistent with other hills in the area. What is not consistent in this photo, in my opinion, is this rock right here that I will highlight now for you. This rock here is triangular and has like three shapes around. I don't know what to say about this shape. Beside that, it is made like this. It has three balls which are not holes but are embossed balls, because as you can see on the top, it reflects the light coming from the top. So they are not holes, they are embossed balls inside the structure. And this rock is really strange. And also in the front there is another rock which appears to have the same like a complementary shape to the one in the front. As you can see, I try to highlight for you what I'm seeing. This shape is like a heart, we can say, and it could be the container of the shape in the bottom. But again, this could be my imagination. I don't have found anything else interesting in this photo besides this small rock in the background. And this rock is big, like I think according to the scale was like 1.5 meters or something, so quite big. And another photo of the same area taken the same day by Curiosity shows that the object is very symmetrical and has a complementary object in the front. Okay, enough for this picture, let's go to the other one. Before this latest one, which is absolutely the most interesting, I will show you why soon. I want to show you also this photo here. On Mars, many rock formations appears to be regular and very flat, like metallic looking. I think, as NASA explains, these are all natural rocks and natural stones. But they could also be part of an ancient civilization which got destroyed by the hundreds of thousands of years, and these could be the only remainings, because it's really strange to observe, zooming in and out, how these rocks perfectly align, like there was a path once here. But again, this could be my imagination. What is very common in Mars are weird rock formations. This is the image original that you can download from the website of NASA. This is my enhancement. With my enhancement, I'm able to look more in detail. I will give you all the images enhanced in the description below, so you can download and observe them by yourself. Let's move on. Another thing that I noticed that just pops out from the photo is this object, which looks like a barrel or a container or something, with something going off, but it's really strange because it's not consistent with the background. What is really common, I was saying, in Mars are strange rock formations, which like this one, for example, emerge from nothing, and they have no sense, and they were probably parts of structural or bigger rocks. Why not? But all the rocks that we found here are more or less consistent each other. Beside, like this one, for example, which is very cylindrical and very rounded compared to the rocks in the surrounding, which have very hard edges. In the old surroundings of this photo, this is one of the few rocks with rounded edges, and doesn't even look like a rock because it has a different color. Okay, here there is some strange things, because here we have a rock formation, like it is a triangle, and here there is a circle, which suggests a cylindrical shape. But this is something that I have already seen in many photos in Mars, and that there is another one just in this photo, and is here. If you look closely, it is a circle, and probably this is another one, but it's so in perspective that we cannot say. But these circles are very common in Mars, and I think they could be natural. It is possible. Could be a meteorite going, a small asteroid that have fallen down and left this circle. Let's go on observing this image. Okay. What I found really interesting in this image was the right part. First of all, let me explain you that many rocks in Mars look like strange rocks or shapes, because the quality of the photo plus the unusual and uncommon shapes that they have suggest us the most curious things. So we have to observe the area, zooming in and out regularly to understand what's really going on, I think. Okay, sorry. The area of the surroundings looks like it has received some sort of cataclysm, as well all the other area of the planet. In particular, in this area there is this plateau, which I found very interesting, because it's made by three plateaus, and it goes on over along the photo. And in this area here you can see that the stones are particularly geometrical and complementary each other. Also, a common shape that I found in many photos of Mars, and later I will show you more, is these circular parts, which are in probably here you cannot see very clearly, but here is an edge of a circular something. And also these rocks here appears to be part of, in my opinion, of an ancient structure or bigger building, because if we look closely, you will see that all these details reminds of the structure of something physical, different and inconsistent from the background, which not necessarily mean houses, churches or something. It can be mean anything, because we don't know. So I see here a square shape with some elliptical and concentric circles going on top of it. Sorry. This is the original image of NASA. We cannot see very much from here, but once we enhance it very much, maybe too much, let's look like this. When we watch this image with more details, we start to see clearly that some rock formations are not totally looking consistent each other. with the surroundings. That's my opinion. Because these rocks, they could be natural, but with this precise alignment, that you can find sometime, not always, sometime, because here is clearly natural formation rocks, because they are, you can see that they don't have they have geometrical shapes, but they are consistent each other. What I think is that here the rocks are precise and have 90 degrees hints, 90-degree edges. They have precise cuts which look geometrical. Also, if you observe the scenery, the overall image, this area here looks like there was some sort of building here with the stones still standing on, and the remaining of the building fall down, and the debris fall down. In fact, if we look closely, all these stones look the same shapes. There are many triangular shaped stones just in this point, and many mini cubic stones just in this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 triangular shapes. This is a normal thing? I don't know, because in the other surroundings there are not so many triangular and cubic stones. It's just not consistent. It's just here falling down from here. So just observing these photos tells me that here there was something which is not consistent with the background. I'm just telling this. I'm not saying that there are aliens. It's not just consistent. Again, this is another rock formation which is really curious, because it reminds of a part of a stair, or part of a structure which allows you to, or probably is a statue or something, or maybe it's my imagination. I don't know, but it's really strange, because all these details look like a structure. Let's move on to the next photo. The next photo here is the most interesting of everyone taken until now, and the reason I think so is because it's huge quality, so we can really see many details. I spent hours looking at this image, and I still think there are many details to look at. Okay, let's start with the left part of the photo. The left part of the photo present first of all, this is called the wait a sec, Dingo Gap. Is about 3 feet 1 meter high in the middle, and tapered out south and north, and also onto low scarps on either side of the gap. Okay, I've read this description, and it does not speak about anything of what I'm going to speak about now. What I want to make you notice is that in this area there are first of all, this is the original photo. Okay, this is the original photo of NASA, and this is my enhancement. My enhancement allows you to look also in the shadows. With my enhancement, we will go on observing this photo, and when you observe this photo, you will notice that there are some big huge stones, blue ones, blue grayish. Okay, and these blue stones are only here, and part of the cliff here, and near the other plateau here, and near this plateau here. So these rocks are mainly near falling down the hills of the plateaus. So here there was a plateau, and here the rocks falling down, like in the first image that we look at. Very similar. We have these plateaus with rocks falling down from it. In this plateau on the left, I initially didn't notice anything. I just thought these were natural rocks. But when I zoomed in and continually looking at them, I started to notice that these shapes could have been part of a unique structure. The reason I think so is because they have shapes which are not very similar to the rocks behind, and sometimes they are very strange. Like this one has a circle. It's in perspective, but I hope you can see it. This one has a circle on top and has a V here, and then has a like a circle here, like the column of the Romans. And okay, imagine it. This was, in my opinion, a cylindrical shape, like a column or something. And also these parts here have very geometrical shapes, and also this one here looks like it was some sort of column which got destroyed, but maybe it's my imagination, or just it's randomly that shape and it's natural. But all the other rocks have just some reminiscence of geometrical shapes that are so suspicious, because they look artificial. They don't have nature usually makes the same things, is consistent. Sometimes humans is not. So you can see it from the surroundings of this debris. And I think that some rocks are really part of a bigger geometrical shapes. And also what I found interesting in this side of the image is this object here, which enhanced look like this, and this is the original photo. This is enhanced, and I think that the color of this object is different from the color of the sand and the color of the other object surrounding. If you look closely, it's like a golden. It looks like made of gold. So, and it's also very regular in shape. This can suggest that it was contained by the rocks surrounding it. If you look closely, this rock has a cylindrical hole which is complementary to the side of this, and also this object here is not a rock, because behind we have the rock which has ironically a similar shape, and it looks totally different. And so we have the comparison here between the rock and another object, and this is, I think, an object which contains the side of this golden object, but this could be my imagination. In this side I found this, which could be an image artifact. An image artifact is when something goes wrong in the camera and shows something that shouldn't be there. And let's go on. These rocks that you can see here with the stripes and very regular angles and shapes, these are totally natural rocks and are explained in the NASA's website. Again, this is their explanation. I think that it is also possible that part of these rocks were used as structural parts for the buildings, but I don't really know. Moving on to the image, let's observe what we can see. I found out that there are some rocks which appears to be inconsistent with the background. For example, these ones here, without and with enhancement, are different in color and shapes with the surroundings, and looks like designing circular shapes or something, like, I don't know, different from the surroundings. And also these rocks which are fallen down from this cliff here appears to be very geometrical shaped, and very precisely 90 degrees cubes. Also here, when you lose time watching at the details, you will see many rocks have the same angles and complementary shapes, which is very curious, either natural or artificial. I think it's extraordinary rock formations. Um, let's move on to the other parts of the photo. Again, what I see in the foreground is another circles like the ones we saw in the previous photo. So again, this could have been a meteorite falling and forming these rocks formations on the edges. It's very curious and very fascinating. Um, let's move on to the picture. And what I observed in this picture is that these rocks probably does not appear like this in real life. I mean, if we could go to Mars and watch this area here, scenery, we could see probably a very red sand and a very bluish stones. These stones are actually blue, I think, and enhancing the image, we can see that they are very bright and shiny, which suggests chromic material like metal. I don't want to say that these are made by metal by any mean, but I think that these rocks are very different from the rocks of the surroundings, which are striped, and these rocks appear to be brought here, in my opinion. Um, moving on, observing the details on this image, I have noticed that all these rocks sometimes have 90 degrees and very precise geometric shapes. This could be a natural phenomenon, but with my, I don't know if it's my imagination, but when I observe here these rocks, and when I imagine this part combined with this part, combined with this part, with this one and with this one, for example, I will enhance them for you. We have to imagine this place has seen terrible cataclysm and destructions, but when we observe the destruction, we could see signs of a civilization, because when we join the pictures and the stones, this could be part of a unique structure, a unique big structure that was on top of the plateau, on top of the hill, and all these parts here were part of the same structure and building. As we can see here, this part is very consistent with this one, and also enhancing the image, some part come out like very square, very geometric precise, and some part are very curious because, for example, this flat area with this edge and these angles so precise, it could be natural but reminds a lot of something structural, something which could have matched other shapes in the foreground. Like, for example, if we look closely, this is like a part of a wall maybe, or something else. I don't know if it's my imagination, but some of these rocks present signs of artificial manufacturing, in my opinion. And I think that with the erosion and the destructions that they are receiving, they look like natural, but they once were structural buildings. Also, moving on to some other interesting details. Here, there is a rock which comes from the sand, which looks like a head. It could be my imagination, but this part here looks like the body of a bird without the head. This is the head. If I take the head and I place it on the bird, I'm doing this live now. This is just a basic photo manipulation, but I'm not tricking the image, and I've not modified the image in any way. These images are all original images published by NASA, and you can find them, they are public. And if you look closely, if you take the head that is here and you place it here, you may have something realistic. Imagine the light now is wrong, it should go on the top of the duck or something like a bird. And also this object here is very cylindrical, and it is very similar to the one in the front, which has a hole in the front. Okay, this head could match the object which is here. They really look like complementary, in my opinion, as well as many other objects. Like this one is complementary to this one, in my opinion, and the other ones that we see previously. Let's move on to this picture because it has a lot more to show. Let's move on the right. On the right, on the extreme right of the picture, you will see that the rocks assume sometimes very strange and misleading shapes. This could be a rock, but this could be a rock which was part of a structural building and has been destroyed also by the time, and it had a shape which cannot even be imagined by us. So when we look at these photos, we just, in my opinion, need to use the criteria of the consistency, because nature is always the same. I mean, if make a plant of a species, it will make it always the same, um, always looking the same, while humans tend to be uh, inconsistent sometimes and make different shapes, mixing materials. And you will note this in this photo, because some natural some rocks, this is the original photo in this moment, some rocks appears to have artificial elaborations, like this one, for example, in my opinion, is very different material with three holes, like I don't know how to call this, but it's like triangular shape with three holes, and it's laying on this rock, which has a part of a curve here, and it has many geometrical references, which does not appear to be very similar to other natural rocks that I saw, but they are uh, very structural looking, like this one, for example, or for example this one has an hole in the middle, or for example we continue to see holes and holes in the ground, but we never see until now objects with holes. And here, for example, let's take a close look in this image. Let's this is the original, this is my enhancement, so you will see more details. Here there is a hole. This is a cylindrical cone shape divided in half. This is another cylindrical shape cone. I will enhance it now for you. Okay, so this is one. Sorry. This is one. Okay. This is two. This is three. This is 4. And there are others in all the pictures. In this particular area, also there is another one here. In this particular picture, I found out only here this object, like something got destroyed here. For example, if we take this half of object, if we take it and we move it, we erase the background. I will invert his color so we can see what we are doing. I will erase the background because we don't need the background. I just want to keep the half of this object, which appears to be like a slice with a hole in the center. I will keep this object and I will cut it away from the background. I have it here, okay, you can see it. And if you notice, it matches exactly the shape which is lying here, like it broken and it fallen down into different directions, because these match completely. The size of this object is a little bit bigger because it's in the foreground, so you have a bit more of dimensional difference, but they matches perfectly. And this looks like it is part of an older rock formation or object or artifact which was like this shape and had like an angular of this type. Okay, you can see it. It's I will try to show it to you in a better way. Probably it's my imagination. That's why I'm making this video, because I'm starting to see parts that connects each other. This part here looks like it's complementary. It's part of a unique piece. And this part was here. I took it from here. Okay. Also, use your imagination and try to imagine that this circular shape was the part of this circular shape. This circular shape just collapsed with the time and became linear, but it was maybe part of this rock here. Also here there is another hole that I just see now, and it's another cylindrical shape like these ones, and I don't really know what these are. These photos have been released 4 days ago, and I think they are very, very interesting. This photo is very interesting. Also here there is like it looks like a school, but it's probably an optical illusion. One of the other most interesting aspect, because the shocking thing that I found out, one of the most interesting aspect of this photo is that there are many, beside the many regular rock formations and not consistent each other, there are plateaus which appears to be artificial, because in my opinion nature, I want to know how a plateau like this is made by nature and by a cataclysm, because I don't understand how a pile of regular stone could form out on the bottom of a plateau, forming another plateau on the top. These look very, very odd and inconsistent with the surroundings. The reason I say that is because this looks like part of a structural and a more complex building. If we look closely, too many 90 degrees angles, too many circles, to be completely natural. Again, I'm not looking at, I'm showing you these photos, but this photo now, but I've looked many photos, and it's very difficult to find such many inconsistency with the other surroundings photos. These rocks appears to be very regular, as well as this one in this small corner. Okay, another thing which is really shocking for me, and I haven't found in any other photo of Mars, is the hundreds of thousands of colored gems which are all surrounding this place. What are them? What are these colored gems? This is the original photo without my enhancement. And you already can see them. You already can see that there are colored materials all over the place, falling down from the cliff. The cliff was full of these gems and stones, and these gems and stones or colored materials are falling down from the cliff. I will enhance the image. These colored materials, I don't know what they are. They are colored stones and small gems. Appears to be of any color, yellow, purple, green. You can see them, they are everywhere. Let me see if there is a foreground picture more clear. Here, for example. And if you notice, here there are not. So I'm starting to think that this is an optical illusion or an image artifact or something, because they appears to be only in the background. Well, now I realize I can see them also here. I don't know, this appears to me like colored stones, colored rocks, colored little gems. Yellow, purple, blue, violet, orange, red. There is everything. And they come down specially from this cliff. They group up sometimes because there are rocks which block their fall, but these gems, colored gems, are not in this area here in the middle. They are just falling down from the cliff on the right and a bit from the cliff on the left, because we can see here there are some, and here also. It's really curious how these colored gems are concentrated just on this cliff. And it's really curious to know what they are, because they are really strange. Let's move now on, observing something that was really in front of us all the time. And when I found out, it was really weird and shocking. But in this part of the image, just right below the huge stone, here I can see, if you lean your head a bit on the right, you can see that the head and the face, something which looks like human-like. And here is the top of the forehead, the face, the line, and the eye, the eyebrow, the nose, and it's particularly detailed. Maybe it's just a curious rock formation, but it's very reminds a lot of a statue, of a face, and especially with that part of wall behind. It's very, if I see this on Earth, I think it's from Egypt, and but maybe it's just my my imagination again. But this looks like an eye, a nose, a chin, and a mouth. And I have also prepared another image where you can see it more clearly. Now I will show you. The reason why I think this is the head of a statue is because it's not an optical illusion, like the rock is going in the background, so it looks like a face, but it's not. It's like exactly as it is, as we see it. It's flat a bit. It has curves and edges, but it's just as we see it. This object looks like this. Also, the wall behind is very similar in style. The but the shapes and the curves are very different, because we go from elliptical to triangular shapes to parallel lines to asymmetrical leaf in the forehead. It's very looks very artificial to me. All these details looks very inconsistent with all the other rocks on the area, the rocks which are clearly natural, because there are other rocks, as we saw in this picture, in this same picture, that looks very different from the natural rocks on Mars. They look very some look very artificial and have very architectural like shapes. Thank you for watching this video, and let me know your considerations, because I'm very curious to know your opinion about these last images released by NASA, and if you agree with something I've said. Thank you very much.